You're listening to Experience Imagination, a themed entertainment design podcast presented by FALCON'S Creative Group. Every episode, we discuss a new topic with a panel of creative professionals. Hi, I'm Cecil McPurry, Chief Executive Officer of FALCON'S.
Welcome to another episode of Experience Imagination. I'm Audrey DeLong. For this month's installment, we're bringing you the fourth chapter in our Foot in the Door series. I'll visit with 7 of my colleagues to learn how they broke into the themed entertainment industry, and they'll have advice for you on how you might do the same. These stories are very diverse and entertaining too, so settle in and enjoy. Well, I am here with Ian Lucas, Associate Producer at FALCON'S. Hello, Ian.
Hey, happy to be here.
All right. Well, yes, welcome. This is your first time on the podcast. And I know before you took the job at FALCON'S that you worked at Universal Studios here in Orlando. What did you do?
Live entertainment and a lot of commercial work. So we did commercials for the park. I was involved in a lot of that, whether it was USAA, Google, Today Show. A lot of brands would come there to film live, and that was always a blast.
So tell us what else you did in your young career.
My journey to themed entertainment, it's been a little bit interesting. So I started off at the Orlando Chamber of Commerce, where I was working as the operations coordinator there. This random thing called COVID hit, changed a lot of people's plans, including mine. Somebody asked me, "Are you interested in politics?" I said no. And they said, "Give it a shot." So I was a regional field director for state campaigns. From there, I got an opportunity to be a legislative aide in Tallahassee. Wasn't for me. Came back to Orlando, got a job at the Film Commission, and decided I want that on-set experience, and hopped over to Universal/freelancing. I was a location scout as well as a production assistant. And then, my love for animation kind of brought me to FALCON'S.
How so? What did that path look like?
The greatest piece of advice that I got very early on is it's not really what you know, it's, who you know and your ability to get out there and promote yourself. So in that realm, I had somebody that I got connected to suggest that I look into the world of producing. And I remember just through one of these, events and running into you that you were producing for a company called FALCON'S in town. And I said, "That's really neat. I'm curious what FALCON'S does." And oh boy, it's a lot. So there was no direct path to themed entertainment, but when I heard what FALCON'S was doing and the opportunity to work on a diverse portfolio of work was just an opportunity that I would never trade for the world.
We do have a question about advice, but now that you mentioned it, you said the best advice that you got. So that's advice that you would pass on to others, I guess.
100%. Yeah. Never be afraid to reach out to people, to talk to people. Even if it seems like you don't know them, they're not willing to respond. They're certainly not going to respond if you never reach out. So get out there, talk to people, ask them how they got to where they were, how they got to the position they're in now, and any advice they'd give. And you will learn much more than any internship or entry-level job could give you.
Yeah. So, Ian, I have to ask you, what have you learned about themed entertainment working at FALCON'S that you didn't know before?
You take so much for granted when you're at some sort of, location-based entertainment or you're at a theme park, whatever it is. You don't think about all the design that went into not only the attraction, but the vehicles in the systems. All the animations that you're watching, if it's a dark ride, those all had to be conceptualized and then made. And I don't think unless you kind of get to see this side of it, you would ever appreciate it as much as you can.
Agreed. All right, Ian, thanks for joining us.
It was a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Okay, I'm with Carrie Schweiger right now. She is a designer at FALCON'S. Hey, Carrie.
Hey, Audrey.
All right, so how long have you been with FALCON'S now?
Just a little over a year now.
All right, and how did you come to us?
Well, I came to FALCON'S through UCF. I'm a master's student there with the Themed Experience Design program.
That's right, and Cecil taught a class for that, correct?
Yes, that is how I heard about FALCON'S, and we were able to do some classes here, which was an amazing experience. We got to see the X Lab, where all of the new tech is happening, so it was a really cool experience.
There was an assignment in that class, right? Kind of led you to what you're doing now, is that correct?
Yes, we ended up making quite a big model and kind of a walkthrough experience where everyone in the class was involved and had a component to it, so there was lots of collaboration. And we got to check out some of the toys at FALCON'S and work with some of the employees at FALCON'S to help us make it happen.
So obviously you were in Orlando. You attended the University of Central Florida, huge university. Is that how you were exposed to themed entertainment in general, or were you always a fan of theme parks? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I grew up in Pittsburgh, and there's a small regional park there called Kennywood. It's been there since 1898, and
Wow.
that place was magic when I was a little kid. So, and then of course, later, you get to go to Orlando maybe once, and that's always an exciting experience for a kid. But in my class, especially at UCF, a lot of us say that nobody really knew how to get into it or that it was something they could do. But in reality, there are so many different disciplines that are involved in this industry that there's just a million different ways that you can find something that you can do here too.
Yeah, UCF's program is really one of the few in the country that specializes in that particular field, right?
Yeah, it was pretty exciting, and it was exciting to see how many different backgrounds all gathered there, and I learned so much from all of the different people in that class.
So I wanted to ask you if you're giving advice for other people besides taking a class at Falcons, what kind of advice would you give?
A lot of people think of one or two large companies when they think of theme parks, and there's just absolutely so much more than that. A lot of people think of maybe one or two disciplines, that it needs to be visual or that it needs to be writing. There's just so much more that goes into it. There are a lot of great associations out there. The IAAPA has a great conference here every year. The TEA has a lot of great information. So start digging in and finding out what's really there. And once you go down a few levels, you'll realize that there's just a lot of different ways to be involved.
Yeah, the IAPA Expo is eye-opening. That's a great way to expose yourself to a lot of the other industries that are part of this massive
almost
industry.
overwhelming, but in a good way.
All right, Carrie, well, we appreciate your time. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, now I'm sitting with Hannah Hall, 3D environment artist at Falcons. Hello.
Hi, thanks for having me on.
All right, so how long have you been at Falcons?
I've been working full-time since January, so about 6 or 7 months.
Excellent. So is Falcons your first job in the themed entertainment industry?
Technically a first paid job, but I did an internship through Full Sail University. Can't say what I worked on, but working with other people in the entertainment industry, it was kind of my foot in the door because I got to meet a lot of very important people in the industry, a lot of producers, even was able to do some work with a very well-known voice actor.
So what was your spark or your inspiration to get into themed entertainment or just entertainment in general?
I always knew I wanted to do something with art, and I always had an inclination towards building, whether it was in The Sims 4, Minecraft. I just always liked building, and I was always very realistic about my artwork. Went to a regular college for 2 years, thinking I was wanting to be like a medical illustrator. Realized that wasn't what I wanted to be.
Ooh.
Yeah, took a break from college, and honestly, I was playing a video game that was really cool. It had beautiful environments, and I remember thinking, man, I wish I could do something like this. And found Full Sail University, and the rest is kind of history with that. Through Full Sail, I studied game art and realized that I liked doing environment art. And through Full Sail, I was able to get that internship. And through a career fair, I found Falcons and then became full-time.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
So is working at Falcons what you expected?
It wasn't. I honestly thought I was going to go into video games because, of course, that's what, I was doing game art. And so they were teaching us skills to use for the video game industry. But I realized that these skills can be applied to other areas of the entertainment industry. So like movies, TV shows, what we're working on. I'm like, well, that's pretty cool.
Right. What advice would you give to other people who are looking to get into themed entertainment?
Have an open mind and always make use of the resources that are available to you. Honestly, I didn't go into this career fair thinking I was going to find the job that I would be working at. But if you go in with an open mind, and then you'll find something that you love.
I think probably the internship at Full Sail helped a lot too, right?
It gave me a taste of what it was like to work in the industry. But what I'm doing at Falcons, it helps me to realize other areas that I like to build in, other areas I like to model in, and that I might have an eye for or a skill for.
I mean, there's always room to grow, too.
Yeah,
But, one day we'll be able to talk about the projects you're working on.
hopefully.
I know, and we'll get you back on the podcast to talk about it. But for now, thanks for being with us for this episode.
Thank you for having me.
All right. All right, I'm here with John Tamoria, animator at FALCON'S. John, how long have you been with FALCON'S?
It's been a little bit longer than a year.
All right, so I want to ask you how you got into the themed entertainment industry. Is this your first job in the industry?
It is. So just entertainment in general, I didn't even consider it as a career path. Themed entertainment came right when I walked in FALCON'S.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Did you know about the company beforehand?
Not until I got the call back and then really started considering, that particular part of the entertainment industry. So been a wild ride the last 2 years.
Yeah. So you went to school for animation?
I did. So I kind of toured Disney Animation Studios in 2011. And I didn't go to school for animation until 2014.
So you knew you wanted to go to school to study animation because you wanted to have a career as an animator. Was that
Yes.
trip to Disney kind of the spark?
Yes. So I didn't consider being an artist at all as my career path. But that visit to Disney really told me, I could do that. So it was kind of eye-opening, just like kind of walking into FALCON'S was kind of eye-opening. So
Yeah, well, let's talk about FALCON'S. Is it different than you thought it would be?
very much so. If I'm being honest, I've heard so many horror stories about, everybody's first job in this industry. So I was kind of already going into it thinking, this is just a stepping stone. I just want to build my skills up, and come to find out, it's a super awesome company to work for. So
We want to clarify that the horror stories you heard were other companies.
oh yeah,
right?
for sure. No, just being an animator in general, you hear about all my instructors are my first job was super tough. They had me doing this, they had me doing that, these hours,
Yeah.
and I didn't have any of that. So my supervisors, everybody is just so great. It's just been fantastic.
Oh, yeah, perfect. I mean, yeah, a lot of jobs you got kind of go through a grind. Depending on if it's a gaming studio or an animation studio, specifically working on a film. I've heard those stories as well. So I'm glad to hear you had a good experience here.
Yeah, for sure. Didn't expect any of it.
All right, well, let's ask about advice you would give to others. What do you think?
Since it's been such a long road getting here, I would say, don't get discouraged. And for me, my biggest problem was creating something new. So you always have to keep pushing to make something new, because that will force you to kind of learn new stuff. And that's kind of the biggest thing is you always have to learn more and more and more. You think, oh, this is my greatest piece. It's on here. But if you show it for, 2 years, running on 3 years, and you're not getting anything back, it kind of says something. You need to do something, something new.
I see. Yeah, well, that is good advice. Keep that demo reel updated.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, John. Well, thanks for being with us and sharing your story.
Thanks so much.
All right, I am now sitting with Tony Kirstiola. Hello, Tony.
Hello, so great to be here.
Well, welcome to the podcast. Tell us what your title is at FALCON'S.
I am the Executive Vice President of Marketing and Branding. So excited to be with FALCON'S. I've been here just since May of earlier this year in 23.
Okay, great. So how did you even get into the themed entertainment industry?
As long as I remember, I've been fascinated by travel in tourism and hospitality, making memories and this idea of escapism. It's proven insight. We all need it. But to have the opportunity and privilege to market and give people an opportunity and to really learn about what am I going to do with my next experience? Where am I going to go? So it's always been a fascination with me, and I literally don't see me ever doing anything else.
Well, how did you even get to that point? What was the spark for that fascination?
Having not been able to travel a lot as a child and working in the hospitality, literally as a front desk clerk through my college years, watching the families come and go, whether it was a business traveler or any traveler, that spark of even me behind the front desk and having that moment in engaging, this curiosity, developed in me about, I want to know, where are they going? Why are they here? But what also then it just changed into, why here? Like, why would you stay at this property besides the property next door? And then I just really started this learning. I was a journalism degree that turned into public relations. So I've always been into storytelling, but I wanted to know more. Everyone I meet, I was like, I want to know, why are you here? What's behind you? And how did you get to this point in your life? So I think it comes with a spirit of curiosity.
Yeah. Well, I studied journalism as well, and I have that curiosity
Kindred spirits
bone.
in that, aren't we?
Yes. So I totally understand that angle. So I want to ask you about Falcons. Is it what you expected?
I don't think anytime you ask that question, if anyone ever answers, oh, yep, sure, knew everything, not the right answer. I knew about this organization from my SeaWorld days. Falcons did an attraction called Turtle Trek. And it was the first opportunity to meet Cecil, Meg Purry, our CEO, and just what they brought to life in that attractions, they meaning we, now I guess I should say it that way, ever since. I mean, at every IAPA, I would kind of look up Cecil and see what the Falcons team was doing. This spirit, and when I say the spirit of curiosity, there's an innovation here that I've never experienced it. I've never seen this type of, I'm excited, I wake up excited, I'm excited to come here every day, because at the end of every single day, I'm going to meet someone who is best in the business. Here, it's to see the collaboration and how every aspect of creativity is brought together in a unique way that I've never seen before. So fascinated by that on a daily basis.
Well, you have been in the themed entertainment industry for a while, and you worked at Visit Orlando, SeaWorld. You probably had some other stops in the industry, but what advice would you give to people looking to get into themed entertainment?
Always reach out and have a mentor. Throughout my entire long career, I've always had a mentor. And I think that's just something of any advice, whether maybe it's not themed entertainment, any industry, and never stop learning. Like I said, I'm learning and growing every day at Falcons. And that's only going to make me a better marketer and at the end of the day, ultimately, even a better leader.
Yeah. All right, Tony, well, it was fun to have you on.
Great to be here.
All right, thanks. All right, well, now I'm sitting down with Emily Page. Hello, Emily.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, well, we're excited to have you for the first time on the podcast. So Tell everybody what your title is and how long you've been with Falcons.
I'm a project manager with Falcons, and I have been on the team since March of 2023.
All right, perfect. So I'm kind of curious. Is this your first job in themed entertainment?
No, it is actually my second. I have been in Orlando for about 3 years. I previously worked for one of the themed fabrication shops here in Orlando, first as an intern, and then I transitioned into a scheduling role, and then I came here.
Excellent. So what made you want to get into themed entertainment?
It was kind of always something that lived in the back of my mind since I learned about centripetal force in high school. One of the examples that my physics teacher had used was about how roller coaster carts can stay on a roller coaster even though it goes upside down. And it was kind of the first time where I really realized that people actually do this for a living. Mm-hmm. So it kind of stayed in the back of my mind. I went on to study mechanical engineering at the University of Colorado. But I decided after an internship in a very traditional mechanical engineering role that I really needed something a lot more fun and exciting. And so I flew out to IAPA in 2019. It was right at the beginning of my senior year, kind of with the hopes of getting my toe in the waters, meeting people, hopefully getting a network going for when I was looking for jobs after graduation. I was really determined and really motivated to get in this industry, so I decided to move to Orlando and pursue a master's degree at the University of Florida in their Themed Environments Integration program. It's a Master's of Science program here in Orlando. During that time, I worked at Universal Orlando just as a ride operator, so I was kind of getting that in-park experience as well. And then by the time I graduated from my master's program, it was the end of 2021. I was able to get that internship at the themed fabrication shop, and the rest is history.
Yeah, working at university, you see the centripetal force in action.
Definitely.
Right? Did I say that right?
Yes.
Yeah, hopefully I didn't miss that day in physics. I'm sure I did. What advice would you give to others looking to get into this industry?
I think the biggest piece of advice that I have is to kind of be open to talking to anybody, and also making sure that when you are networking with somebody, it's really important to remember that the person that you're networking with is also a person, and they're a friend, going into all these conversations with the intent of, I'm talking to this person so I can get an internship, or I'm talking to this person so I can get a foot in the door with the company, really closes off the opportunities to just get to know somebody and make the person you're talking to feel valued and respected will really make you more successful, just because then you have more genuine connections with these people and they'll remember you for the person that you are and not just for the job that you're wanting from them.
Wow, that is great advice. Did you get a minor in psychology by chance?
No, but I'm pretty good just people watching and tried and failed a lot myself. So it's a bit of a personal journey, I think, too.
Emily, it was so much fun to talk to you. Thanks for being on the podcast.
Thank you.
All right, well, I'm sitting here with Jordan Zuha. Hello, Jordan.
Hello.
So let us know, what is your title? How long have you been with Falcons?
Yes. So my title formally is production coordinator, also sometimes known as project coordinator, depending on who you're talking to.
True.
But yes, so I've been with Falcons since formally March. I had a short stint getting to help out for a little month before then, and we liked it enough that I got to stay.
Nice. So how did you get into this line of work? I know you have an entertainment background, right? Tell us.
That is true, yes. So my original degree is in musical theater. And fortunately, we had a well-rounded education. So even though my degree is performance, I did everything else, including direction, lighting, design, all that stuff. And so originally was living out in New York doing theater. Moved down to Orlando due to a lower cost of living at the time I moved. And
you added that footnote.
Yes.
Yeah.
And funnily enough, pre-pandemic, Orlando had the highest amount of paid union actors outside of the big three cities. But I transitioned into themed entertainment by meeting my program director. I'm one of those people who went to grad school. And it was through meeting my program director and telling him about my interest in immersive theater, in placemaking, and in the 360 entertainment experience that I even knew that there was a place for somebody like me here.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Lots of different disciplines. I'm sure you've come across that just in your work at Falcons.
100%. And I think that the beauty of themed entertainment, and one that's kind of hitting me now as I fully entered, is that many of us put a label on ourselves when we want to enter into the industry, but oftentimes we're probably more capable of more roles than we think. And I would say almost everyone I know will say that a role that they entered and where they are now are not the same.
No.
Or the role that they thought they were going to get and what they're doing is not the same.
Let's talk about advice for others. What do you think? What would you say to somebody who says, you know what, how do I get into themed entertainment, Jordan?
Yes, this industry is 100% relationship based. Connecting with folks in a way that you feel comfortable is all that matters. If you try to force yourself to connect with people in a way that feels uncomfortable to you, then it's not really going to benefit you at all. And there's a story that I heard that I want to share really fast, and it's happened to me. A person I knew was communicating via email to somebody in the industry for 2 years long, no replies. They would just send little updates, very short. Here's what I'm working on. Here's what I did. Here's what I'm learning. Hope you're doing well, for 2 years straight. And then they got a job offer from that person.
Wow.
And they reached out and they're like, hey, I thought of you. I would love your updates. I know I wasn't really replying because I was so busy, but I really enjoyed reading them, and we had a role opening for you, so we did it. And in my own experience, that has happened for me as well. As long as you're being respectful and following up and being kind and being human. And that's what gets people in this industry, because we create human things.
Well, Jordan, thank you so much for sharing your stories and giving advice.
Thank you for bringing me on. And I love that you bring such a spectrum of folks, because everybody's journey and story is different.
Yeah, and that's part of the Foot in the Door series, is to just kind of open people's eyes about all the different disciplines that are out there.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks, Jordan. That's a wrap on another Foot in the Door episode. I'd like to thank all of our fantastic guests once again. Ian Lucas, Carrie Schweiger, Hannah Hall, John Tamoria, Tony Kirstiola, Emily Page, and Jordan Zuha. And thank you all very much for listening. Please join us next time.
Thank you for listening to Experience Imagination, a Falcons Creative Group production. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to the podcast and share with your friends. To keep up with our latest news, visit us on the web at falconscreativegroup.com and follow us